We are born at the bottom of a planetary gravity well. We rely on a dense, physical pocket of air and rock to shield our biology from the vast extra-terrain looming just overhead. A cosmos spanning billions of light years, without a conscious observer, presents a profound philosophical problem. A universe with no one to measure it, to look up at it, is an empty stage. It has dimensions and matter, but it lacks meaning. Yet this stage is incredibly hostile to the observer. The raw, uncompressed signal of the cosmos, the freezing vacuum and the intense radiation, will immediately overwhelm and destroy the human nervous system. To survive out there, we cannot simply step into the void. We have to construct what ancient cosmologies called a cosmic egg. We must build massive celestial interfaces designed to step down this infinite lethal order into a survivable reality. Our earliest forays into this extra terrain relied heavily on rigid physical hardware. Rooms packed with analysts staring at telemetry screens treated spaceflight purely as a mechanical engineering problem. To keep a human nervous system functioning outside the protection of a planet, we must manufacture the shell ourselves. This effort is a biological necessity, building a calibrated environment that translates the lethality of the void into a signal we can actually survive. The first theoretical blueprints for these shells, designs like the sunflower and the Bernal sphere, functioned as primitive translation gates. They relied on enormous petal-like mirrors to catch the raw output of the sun. Instead of letting intense radiation strike inhabitants directly, the geometry bounced and filtered the light, directing a safe, continuous glow into a central memory field. These concepts trace back to the pioneers of orbital mechanics, engineers who mapped out how humanity could permanently leave the planetary shell. They quickly realized that a static box in a vacuum would degrade human biology. The interface had to physically rotate, generating an artificial flow and rhythm that the body could recognize. These early rotational models proved a crucial concept. We could manufacture our own localized space-time pocket, taking the chaotic, lethal forces of orbit and translating them into a steady, survivable pulse. From those early rings, the designs evolved into continental-scale structures. The O'Neill cylinder and the Stanford torus expanded the cosmic operating system from a small outpost to an entire artificial world. Operating at this scale requires a physical limit layer. Millions of tons of cosmic rock, dirt, and water are packed into the outer hull, acting as a thick membrane to block the relentless bombardment of high-speed cosmic rays. Inside that massive shell, the environment relies on what we call spin gravity, the essential flow layer that anchors the nervous system to the floor. By calculating the radius and controlling the spin, centrifugal force pushes everything against the inner wall, mimicking weight. Calibrated to rotate once a minute, the math locks in, replicating Earth's gravity. Combined with perimeter mass, this rhythm forms a sealed environment, insulating the observer. At this immense scale, the structure becomes a complete biological compression system. It processes the extremes of space so that an entire civilization's consciousness can thrive inside. Pushing the limits of structural engineering leads to designs like the Bishop Ring. Constructed from materials vastly stronger than steel, these open-air celestial interfaces stretch hundreds of miles wide, so massive they hold a planetary atmosphere and generate their own internal weather patterns. This scale introduces a radical shift in how a civilization exists. Unlike a planet, which is forever locked into a single orbit around a single star, these mega interfaces are entirely untethered. They can move. This mobility births the concept of the Gardener ship, a self-sustaining, floating constellation of habitats drifting slowly across the deep extra-terrain between distant star systems. These massive structures can maneuver, dock together to share resources, and cleanly detach to go their separate ways in the void. If an entire civilization's reality is housed within a mobile interface, fixed borders lose their meaning. When resources are abundant and your world has an engine, a divided population can simply undock and chart a new course rather than fight over a finite patch of dirt. We have often viewed our reach into space as a migration between planetary surfaces, but the desolate moonscape reveals the limitation of that vision. Our work is to build a home for the viewing mind within the silence of the void. The actual destination is the construction of an archipelago, a sprawling, living sensor network of orbital communities drifting through the cosmos. In this environment, geography is no longer defined by scarce physical territory. Land becomes an endlessly reproducible interface of light, mass, and energy, manufactured wherever it is needed. Trillions of human beings could eventually reside inside these luminous, nested spheres, forming an entirely new cosmic operating system scattered across the solar system and beyond. This vast web of habitats allows humanity to function as vital processing nodes, looking out into the dark expanse and measuring the universe around them. These habitats function as a second skin for our species. By weaving physical mass and rotational spin into a permanent home, we provide the necessary biological filter that allows the universe to look back upon itself, growing the eyes it needs to witness its own infinite scale.